Like, I think it's so fun. And they'll like start going like, whoop, oh, hey. Yep. I don't really need to do that at all. I just like, all right. Are y'all ready? Yeah. Are we ready here? This is really happening? Oh my God. Thank you all so much for coming out. I really, really appreciate you. I know the weather's not super great right now, but it's not super terrible. It hasn't, it's frozen today. So thank you again for coming out, bringing your chairs and your blankets, getting all cozy. I promise you, you're going to enjoy Bike Story Night. Promise you. I'm super excited to be here in San Antonio. As you may or may not know, Bike Story Night is held in Austin, where I live. And this is our very first San Antonio event. This has been a goal of mine since, I guess maybe about a year ago, after I felt like, okay, I've got legs, I've done 5 Bike Story Nights, okay, I think maybe we should start considering going to other cities. And I had talked to Jeff, and he had just kind of hinted at maybe you should come to San Antonio. And I thought, that's a great idea. Maybe I should. And I started to feel more and more comfortable with it. And finally, this year, I was like, you know what? I want to start this year off a little bit different. We've done 9 other Bike Story Nights. This is our 10th Bike Story Night. So I'm super excited. I wasn't sure what the weather was going to be like. We got lucky, unlucky, I guess, with the weather. But thank you all so much for coming tonight. How many of y'all have heard of Bike Story Night before recently? Yay! Cool. Well, Bike Story Night started as like a project of mine during the pandemic. I was sitting down, I had volunteered myself to be furloughed, and I started really thinking, like I think a lot of people did, of like, what do I want to do? What's my life? Like, and what are we going to do after this? And where are we going? And a bunch of my, I guess, passions sort of all came to me, and I just sat down and started realizing, like, I love this, and how can I bring them together? One of my favorite things is bringing people together. Since I was a little kid, I was the oldest kid in the neighborhood, or one of the older kids, and I was a girl, so I was always, trying to make things kind of like happy, cheery, fun, like, most older kids are doing, taking care of the other kids, making them kind of have fun with what we have. So I always thought of like random little things we could do together. So yeah, that's long story short. That's kind of how Bike Story Night came to be, and I started just kind of taking notes, writing it down, repeating it in my head over and over and over, and then finally I asked one of the bike shops if they were into the idea, and they said yes, and then it was like the candle was lit, and I went for it, and people came, and then people liked it, and so it just kind of continued to grow. And another thing I liked to do was, I guess, bring an aspect of more community to the event by inviting local bike nonprofits to the event to speak as well, not just storytellers. So with that, I'll get off the mic soon and introduce you to Kari. I am so sorry, I should have practiced your name. I'm really sorry. I do this at every event. I always tell myself I'm going to practice the names, but I don't. Thank you again for coming out. Thank you to Lily and SA Babes and everyone who helped make this event extra special here in San Antonio, Southside Craft Soda. I'm going to probably be saying this multiple times throughout the night. There will be other people up here on the stage, in addition to storytellers that you might recognize as well. They'll be introducing them. So there's that. And then we have intermission, and we have prizes at the end, so don't go anywhere. Hang out during an intermission, have some more of these beverages over here. I think that pretty much covers it. We're gonna get started. Kari, you wanna come on over?
Is there a...
Did you send me something?
I did.
It's okay.
Do you have these in order the way you wanted them?
Can I look it
show?
up on the internet? Yes.
I don't need it.
Oh, I thought Jordan. Okay.
I don't need it. It's okay.
I can pause. Hey everyone.
perfect place to have the San Antonio event than something that says Southside Crab Soda. It's amazing. Southside. Sorry, I've been a little under the weather for the past week. My name is Kari Kuwamura, and I am the new, there you go, the newest executive director for Ghisallo Cycling Initiative. So I'm going to do this without my presentation, so just pretend you see me on a bike, and picture that. So I grew up here in San Antonio, in District 9, District 10. I don't know if you all are familiar with that area of town, but I was very landlocked. A lot of growing up was getting in the car and getting the privilege to go to a park, right? So I didn't find biking until I was in, I guess I had a couple of tries for college, right? But round one, I was at North Texas and I had a mountain bike that was like from Walmart or something, and I was just going for it at Pilot Point, and I ended up seeing other people on really nice bikes, and I didn't know what that was all about. But I kept going, and I fell in love with it. I didn't know what I was doing, and I loved it. I tumbled over rocks, I got lost in the woods many a times, but I think the most important thing for me was that, you know, growing up and being, I guess, obviously a big game, right? So you get treated differently, right? But when I had my cycling gear on, when I was on the trails, it was always someone saying hi. It was someone saying good morning, good evening. And I found my people, right? Because I wasn't somebody else, I was a cyclist, and I was treated equally. And so from then on out, I love biking. Hey, look at that. That was before I got my staff shirt issued to me, so I was that new in that picture. I love biking, and I always incorporate that into wherever I go. I worked for the city of San Antonio, and all I wanted to do was get kids outside, get kids on bikes. But what's the problem here, right? We're landlocked. Kids can't even get to the community centers unless their parents take them. So Ghisallo, they have these cool, awesome containers they call bicycle base stations, right? So they have a couple of those at centers around San Antonio. You get like a storage container, open that up. There's helmets all along the wall. There's bikes all inside. There's a compressor inside. It's really cool to see. So, and then if there's not that option in San Antonio, they also have a trailer that has, you know, same setup, right? So we bring programs to the kids. We provide access. And God, I wouldn't have that access here as a kid. So I can talk all day about me, but where the magic happens with Ghisallo is right here. Raise your hand. Carl and Christina. Really excited Carl's here because I didn't know it was going to be here, so that's a good surprise, but they can both raise their hands. So while everybody's at work and everybody's doing their thing, they're at work, going into schools, going into community centers, and teaching kids how to ride, teaching them how to put their helmet on safely, teaching them how to use hand signals and get off, you know, on the road and get to wherever they need to. So it's not just a recreational program, it's getting to their friend's house, getting to the store, accessing the world by bicycle. So they're doing that as a two-person show here in San Antonio. And they don't do that just for kids, it's seniors too. There's a program that we have called Golden Rollers. If you haven't seen the shirt, it's really cool. I recommend checking it out. They're not for sale, but you gotta be a Golden Roller, so come on out, check it out. They're at Lions Field off Broadway, the senior center. They ride trikes, go all along the Riverwalk and on the trails and the Brackenridge, and really provide that access for seniors to get out there and socialize, keep themselves in shape, and God, they love it. Once you get out there, you're dedicated, and it's really cool work they do. Las Chingonas, I don't know if you've heard of them. I don't know if you heard that. But I also just, while I'm up here and I see somebody here who, you know, might be associated. But thank you for supporting Ghisallo. The money that they raised went to Ghisallo for the race. So I'd like to say thank you. It's not taken for granted. We also worked with some of those women as well. Yeah, it's all about community here. It's all about getting on bikes. It's all about having fun. But it's all about access as well and giving people that tool to get out. I don't know, raise your hand if you've ever like experienced somebody not having a good time on a bike. What's your story? What is it? What is it? Was it someone who couldn't ride, or was it the weather? I agree, and that's okay. I would not have ridden my bike, so kudos. I saw you. Good job. I saw you riding your bike in. Good job to you. I would not have done. Yeah, so it's a huge journey to get on your bike. It's a huge tool to get you to access the world. We're also in Austin. There's a little bit more going on there, but that's because of the infrastructure. That's because that's where Ghisallo started. That's where all the stuff is. But I love that picture. I can't stop looking at it. That's what it's all about. If y'all ever want to volunteer, actually, side note, if you want to volunteer or come out, I don't think there's anything better than like going out with these kids and them getting to know you and like trusting you to get on a bike, and then they look forward to seeing your face every day. So if you're looking for volunteer opportunities, talk to Christina or Carl, because this, like, I will like miss emails to do that. Like, this is great. It's a really good thing. We do bike starts where we teach kids how to ride bikes, but we also do bike clubs. Sorry, I'm out of breath. We do bike clubs to where they can go out like during spring break or during summer camp. So if y'all have the spare time, want to dedicate that time, this is the most fulfilling thing that you'll ever experience in your life. But what I want to ask you all is to help me, help Christina, help Carl to get Ghisallo as big as it is in Austin, bring it here to San Antonio, because I don't think there's one person who can't benefit from this. And who wouldn't want to see somebody, join one of your groups or go on a social ride or go out on a trail ride in the city because you did that with them? What is it, like, that's the best thing. That's the best connection that you could ever get. And then meeting a wonderful group of people like you all. I see how tight-knit everybody is. You see each other out at different events, and you're coming out and supporting one another. How cool would that be to provide one of those kids that handout to get them to this point and with us, just because we wanted to dedicate maybe a day or two or a week hanging out with them on a bike. So that's my call to action to you all. Let's get Ghisallo going in San Antonio like it is in Austin. And how do you do that? Right?
That's right.
Bring your cute dog.
That's right.
That dog says, hell yeah. So volunteering, that's one way you could help, right? I've already nailed that pretty hard. But two, I would also say, if there's any way that you would like us to help, if you see an opportunity for any rides, if you want ride support, if you have friends who want to get to work but need to find a route, we're there for that. I don't know if you know that we do that. We do route planning as well. If you have somebody who wants to go to work or go to the store and use their bike and they feel comfortable doing that, call on these folks because they will do it. I'm not good at that. Christina and Carl are good at that. I'm a mountain biker. So I need to take some lessons from Christina and Carl because I'm still a little uneasy getting on the road. Or maybe Brian Martin because he will actually ride his bike on Broadway. That's insane. No. If I can keep up, okay, so like, it's a running joke because like I'll show up for these social rides on my full suspension mountain bike and they just laugh at me because like, I'll keep up. Alright, I won't take up too much of your time, but like I said, my call to action for you all is let's get Ghisallo going in San Antonio. Thanks to Christina and Carl, two-man show, but let's get it going. Let's get these kids on bikes, let's get these adults on bikes and seniors, and thank you for your time.
Yeah! I do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Anytime we get cyclists together in a group like this, it builds up our community. That's super important for San Antonio. We keep doing a lot more things like this. Our next storyteller is Marissa Castro. Yeah!
Hello.
excited to be here. I've never heard of anything like this before. And I had a friend in the front row tag me, and I totally submitted my story on a whim, didn't think twice. And then afterwards, I got the, we got for you to be here. I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? So, but here I am. And I'm excited to tell you guys my bike story. So I pretty much swore off bikes in 1988. When my mom told me, don't go past Louie's house. You're not allowed past Louie's house. That was 3 houses down. And literally my parents' house, the sidewalk ended at the end of their yard. So I had 3 houses to ride my bike up and down. And we didn't have a whole lot of kids in our block. So, I was like, I can't, I have mad skills. I need to ride my bike further than Louie's house. So I went all the way up the block and I came down. Well, I didn't realize, because it was my first time coming down, it was downhill. And what's bike riding without a scrape or blood or, so that was me. I fell, I lost control of my bike, and I had to walk all the way home with, my wheel that way and my handlebars that way, and my knees were bloody, and I was like, hey, they're gonna know I went past Louie's house. So I went in and I didn't talk to anybody, and I went in, I cleaned myself up, and of course they knew my dad was gonna see my bike, but I was like, I'm never riding a bike again. So that was pretty much the end of my bike story. So fast forward 2010, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And if you are not familiar with multiple sclerosis, it is an autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system. So anything that has to do with your brain or your spinal cord, you're pretty much jacked. So that's, everything. Your cognitive thinking, your mobility, your speech, anything. And there's so many different levels of MS. No 2 people with MS are ever going to be the same. And the worst thing you can tell somebody when you meet them that has MS is, just take a nap, I'm sure you'll feel better, or exercise more, or maybe try some vitamins. That's the worst. And so, I was like, okay, what are we gonna do with this? Am I going to, be a basket case and not know how to live the rest of my life, or am I going to learn how to use my voice? So I gave myself 10 minutes of being a basket case, and then, I was like, okay, what are we going to do from here on out? How are we going to handle this? I had the rest of my life, I had 2 small kids, parenting on my own, and I didn't have a choice. So, my only choice was to figure it out. Fast forward again to 2015. I met a team of people. If you are or not familiar with Team Wingman, they are a huge cycling team here in San Antonio as well. And they primarily were involved with Bike MS. It was just the world came full circle for me. I met them. I didn't know I needed them as much as I did when I met them. But I was like, oh, bikes, Louie's house. No way. I'll just watch. I'll help another way. But then I was gifted a recumbent bike. I knew there was no way I was going to get back on 2 wheels. I could barely walk straight, let alone balance on 2 wheels. So I was gifted this recumbent bike, and I was like, well, okay, this will be fun. And there were 4 of us on the team that were gifted these recumbent bikes by anonymous donors here in San Antonio. That was the day I got my trike. So I don't ride in that kind of clothing. But that's when Santa delivered my trike to my house. first bike MS on my recumbent bike. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. And by mile 35-ish, I was done. I was in tears. I was exhausted. I was just like, what did I just do? I had like consumed so much energy. I didn't understand what that much physical activity was going to do on my body. So that was a complete learning lesson for me. But after that, I was like, okay, now we just gotta, how do I modify this so that it's easier for me? And a couple of years later, so like 2017, we realized that if we made a single recumbent into a tandem, the person with MS that sits on the back doesn't have to put out all that energy. Somebody that doesn't have MS can be the captain and, make it the person on the back's ride. So that was after my first century. He's super great. And again, I was like, what the hell did I just get myself into? But that was just like opening the doors to so many things that people with limitations can do. There's so many adaptive things out there that can help people with limitations. And the story didn't stop there. A couple of years ago, so that's really just recent, we added a battery to these tandems, these tandem trikes. And that then allowed the captain that typically didn't have MS to not have to wear themselves out as much, either because that's heavy. It is heavy. And when we put the battery on, we realized, well, hey, maybe somebody with MS can also be the captain because that battery will kick in when they need it. So there we have two people with MS going further than they ever thought they were going to go because they were working together and they now have this battery. Last October was, I think, my 5th or 6th bike MS, and my friend and I, we both have MS. We ride the tandem together with the batteries. As a team, we now have about 10 to 12 tandems with batteries, and we use that primarily for bike MS. That way we can get more people that have MS to go further than they would on their own, on a 2-wheel, on a recumbent bike alone, or somebody that never even would have signed up because they wouldn't have been able to do it. And this last year was probably the most heartfelt year that I've had with the tandem experience because I was able to get so much feedback from MS riders of what that ride meant for them because of the tandem, because of the e-assist on it. Now, a couple of other friends and myself, we now head a nonprofit, Tandem Trikes for, like number 4, because it started with 4 recumbents, Tandem Trikes for MS. And we are going to continue to raise these funds to maintain these bikes, these tandems, to maintain these batteries in order to keep people moving. So that's the most important thing that I'm dealing with right now, is how can I make cycling and biking better for people with limitations. The last thing I want to leave you with is next time you're on the trail or the road or at a big event and you see somebody with an e-assist, whether it's on a bicycle, a recumbent, or you see one of us on a tandem out there, instead of snubbing your nose, because I read the comments online about batteries on bikes, just remember that we're out there. Give us a, hey, great job, hey, keep going, because we're giving our all. We really are, and we're doing it for the love of cycling, just like you guys. So again, hopefully, we will cross paths out there somewhere riding bikes, or if maybe one of you ever want to become a tandem captain for Bike MS and make your ride somebody else's ride, come see me. Thank you.
There's no wrong way to ride a bicycle. Okay, next up we have Teran. You may know her by the cycling videos she's been posting. Super awesome, Lily.com, at Lily.com. So, thank you.
And I love you. Well, I hope everyone's having a good night. Thank you again so much for coming out despite the cold. My story is certainly not the most adventurous, nor the most exciting. So full disclosure, it's not. I definitely have heard better. But it's important for me to come and share my perspective because, it's, to maybe encourage someone to get on a bike, but it's far more than that. It's to perhaps, encourage you to go after something that you've been holding back for due to fear of judgment or anything like that, because my bike story involves just that, being held back due to fear of what others would think. Because during the pandemic, like many, I was impacted, and in addition, I was going through a very challenging situation, most challenging situation I would have been faced with to that point. And it was important that I didn't deal with this with drugs or alcohol. I wanted to solve this in the best way that I knew how. And I'm glad that I wasn't, drinking or doing drugs, because I guess in a way you could say I was thinking clearly. The smoke had cleared, in other words. And I had this great idea to ride a bike. Now, mind you, I had not ridden a bike since grade school, and I didn't even own a bike, but I thought it's the perfect way to be outdoors, get physical activity, and I'm doing social distancing. So let's do it. I rented one off of SA Bike Shares, 30 minutes. I did 6 miles. Wow, was I sore the next day. I felt it. But what I felt the most was joy. For just those few moments, I was able to leave the depression state that I had been feeling, and it was a natural high. So I was like, I'm sold, I'm gonna come back. And I did, and I came back, and 30 minutes went to an hour, and it eventually made sense, let me buy a bike, let me do that. So I did. I got a used mountain bike, not that one, it's the other bike. I got a used mountain bike off of Facebook, and I didn't care, that it wasn't anything fancy. But let me tell you why. Because I didn't know any better. I didn't know between road bikes or gravel track. I had no idea. All I saw was a bike, 2 wheels, let's roll. And I did, literally. So the IG algorithm must have figured that out rather quickly, because then it was bombarding me with cycling pages. And one of them happened to be Veronica's, who, if you don't know, she's the leader of the SA Base on Bikes. So I was looking at her page, kind of stalking it, thinking to myself, man, this girl looks so cool. We could possibly be friends. We probably have some music in common. And at that time, she was advertising coming to Woodlawn Lake and doing lakes around the lake. Very simple, just come out, ride your bike. She was welcoming ladies. I'm gonna be here at this time. And she would do it consistently every single week. She's not getting paid for this, by the way. And I just thought that it was awesome what she was putting out there. I thought to myself, hell yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll get to ride on the street for the first time ever, because I was only doing trails. And I'll make some badass women friends. Hell yeah, I'm gonna go. I never went. I never went because I thought after, wait a minute, I'm gonna show up in the bike that I have? And I saw their videos. I was thinking, they were wearing some funny spandex looking clothes. Like, I don't have that. They were wearing a funny hats and funny shoes. Like, what is that? I'm gonna show up like me? Like, nah, like I'm not gonna go. And that fear of judgment, of what other people would think, kept me from going for 9 months. To say it out loud now, it's just a bit embarrassing, but it is part of my story. Finally, after those 9 months, I don't know what happened, but I wanted to go ride. I went to my first babes ride, and holy crap, did I have fun! I met awesome women. I'm talking about dozens. It was a great turnout. I rode on streets that I'd never even driven on. I just rode on the street, period, for the first time. People were like doing hand signs. I had no idea there were hand signs. The point is that I was in an environment that put me out of my comfort zone, and I was able to discover at my own pace, do I want to return to this? And a big part of it was the community that was there, because they made me feel safe enough to ask what I thought were stupid questions, to ask those questions that we all might have, you know, in our heads or pondering about, but for one reason or another might not ask. Cycling can be very intimidating, but it can also be so fun when there's community and inclusivity. So what I'm getting from cycling was, I was thinking to myself, yes, cycling is for me. I discovered the beauty that it was to do group rides, and I was sold on it. Joy was what I was getting out of. But the number one thing that I really took from cycling was you. You people here and now. People who are not able to make it, people who I've ridden with, people who I've never even met, and just know that they're part of the cycling community. And I say that not to be emotional, but because that is my story. If it wasn't for the help of the community, of you, of teaching me things that I had no idea, I wouldn't know any of you, let alone be sitting here, or standing, should I say, talking to you guys about this. It's beautiful when we're able to support one another. Everybody has different goals in cycling, and that's okay. That should be your personal experience. But I hope that this serves as a small reminder, the giant impact that you, as a community, have to be able to support, no matter your goal, no matter the type of cyclist. Because yes, we all have 24 hours in a day, but 24 hours might look differently for someone who has a child, or for someone who's doing a side hustle, or for someone who's not in the best mental state. So that looks differently, and it is okay for us to still consider ourselves cyclists, even if I'm not wearing a $200 kit, even if I still don't know how to fully take off the back wheel. Full disclosure, I kind of been learning. But the thing is that, you know, there's still so many things that I know that I haven't learned, and I'm not up here pretending to be anything but myself, a person that has gotten help from you, the women in SA Babes on Bikes. I was able to graduate to have the confidence to ride with the Mujeres, which is a fast-paced training ride that meets every Tuesday, and to build the confidence also to share my story. Like I said, it's not the most adventurous or exciting. It's just a little bit of hope that you're able to know the impact that you can make in the cycling community is giant. This is a great example. I had not met before Valerie, and it was my pleasure to help her. It just lined up, and thank you so much for everybody taking the time to help me, and I really do hope that it inspires you to, once again, yes, help out other people in the community with cycling, but also just go for whatever the hell it is that you've been wanting, because although I still feel insecure and have like my doubts, I won't lean into that. I'm more leaning towards the joy in cycling, in the help and support that you women give me. Everybody else, thank you so much. So thank you once again, and I really do hope that you're able to find some sort of inspiration to just continue to be awesome. I got my first kits by donations, my first sunglasses by donations. Everything has been donated. I bought my first clips. I had my first ball clipped in. I mean, it's all part of it, right? And I hope that everybody just understands that there's different levels of joy that we can find in cycling, and encourage us to not have any exclusivity, community. Thank you. Yeah!
Could have been a contender.
Thank you so much, Lee. enthusiasm and an inspiring story. I hope if anyone hasn't decided to ride a bike more often, you are more inspired by Lily. So we are about to go into intermission. How are y'all feeling about that? You want to like shake a leg a little bit, mix and mingle, get some more of these sodas. Shoot. Andrew, remind me, the coffee shop. Just the drip. Oh, I can forget that. Just the drip. They're open. They have hot cocoa and coffee.
Drip coffee.
Complimentary drip coffee.
Get a latte.
Okay, latte is top pasta latte. I did have just a couple of reminders. Get my notes. Thank you again to Kari for coming out and talking with Ghisallo. Please go onto their website. It has lots and lots of information there, and I highly encourage you to get involved, volunteer. It's super easy and fun. They're always doing really great stuff. Also, we have wildcard forms over there. That door. We have wildcard forms. If you thought about being a storyteller, you weren't sure, and now you're definitely interested, please come pick up a card at the table over here. We have pens. It's really quick and easy. You don't have to write out your full story, just a quick little synopsis so that we can, decide when we want to share your story. We are going to share your story. Hopefully we'll have enough time. I think we're doing good on time. Welcome to everyone that just walked in. So yeah, just the wild cards. Thank you again, everyone, for coming and donating. We have the raffle at the end of the night. We have some really good prizes over there, thanks to several bike shops, Level Up, Blue Star, Bike Shop. Mural Ride donated some hats. We've also got some, what else do we have? Stickers, all kinds of great stuff. Thank you. All right, so we'll do an intermission for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. If y'all want to, also maybe squeeze your chairs up a little bit if it's not too inconvenient right now when you get up. That would be great. Also, but also people can come and sit in the front too if they want to. There's a little bit more room here. But we'll play some tunes and have a little mix and mingle. Feel free to ask me questions. Also encourage you to meet someone that you've been wanting to talk to. Go up to them and say hello.
Oh, and can I take a quick picture?
Yes!